Hello and welcome. On September 2nd, 2023, Pete Homer, Natty Homer, and Zoe Homer, and your friend and mine, Jan Mandala, sat down with Tom Lopez, the genius writer, producer, and director behind the Fourth Tower of Inverness, Moon Over Morocco, Jack Flanders Adventures, and other radio plays that have inspired us since the early days of the peace and love movement. Mr. Lopez was gracious enough to set us down in his beautiful mansion on the Hudson River and delighted us for 3 hours with great tales from his life. Thank you, Tom. It was a wonderful experience, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in and listening to this excellent retrospective by Mr. Tom Lopez. Enjoy.
Technical and stuff. He's getting weird.
Again.
That's actually interesting because I wasn't sure re-listening how much these were kind of vehicles for your like interests or your sort of personal philosophies, or if they were more kind of fun like play sets and like or not, maybe that's too strong a word in the other direction, but like fun things to play with as an artist to draw from, to build mythologies, to do world building with.
Sort of that, and it isn't that I don't believe in this stuff, because I think there's all kinds of magical, I mean, when I say magical, things that are happening to all of us all the time.
Sure.
And we don't even realize it. And I mean, we're all still alive. That's something.
That's pretty
Sort of magical.
Yeah.
And
It's right.
so I try not to make fun of anyone, but yeah, I can't remember. I see when you were talking, I was trying to I mean, you know, example like being in Morocco and with Paul Bowles. Now Paul Bowles was gay, okay, and he lived with a Moroccan guy. And he's written a few books with this Moroccan guy, or he's written books also. And he's a young Moroccan guy, kind of big, you know. And he was there at the apartment, and at some point, you know, Boulders were talking about the Moroccan trance music, you know, that they. And he talks about how what happens to the musician, or not the musicians, but people that are doing these dances and so on. The trance, the music takes them over, and
Right.
and they find, you know, and sometimes it gets a little dangerous because somebody gets, you know, so carried away. He says it takes several people to bring them down, you know, especially if they have knives and decide to cut them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the knives come out, right?
All of that. And
So, yeah.
now, as he's describing this, the music's playing, and this young guy goes into a fucking trance. Now, and Bowles grabs the arm on the recorder, you know, take off the LP that's playing.
Oh, to stop the ecstasy.
Because
Wow.
I think it was some music that he had recorded. I think that may have been from the Library of Congress. I don't remember where the album comes from. And then he takes the guy and he sets him down, and then I didn't know what was going on, but then he told me afterwards. He said, "You gotta watch, you know." Because so these little things happen to people that sometimes you're talking to,
And it finds its way into your work, and it's just a filter.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think Casablanca, the movie Casablanca, you know, was
There's a little bit of that.
A little
yes.
bit of that in there, which is great. You know, of course, I mean, why not?
I
You know,
loved Castle.
the greatest
Oh, me
movie
too.
ever made, man. I mean, come on.
Try to watch it
Bar none.
every year. I try to watch
Oh
it.
yeah, love it, love it. Well, Ram Dass. Did you ever meet Ram
Oh
Dass?
yeah, Rob Doss is up here.
He came up.
He a few times.
No
he
kidding.
did an album up here.
Oh, yeah, right.
Ram Dass. I'm trying to think where the connection happened. Well, there was Tim Leary. I never met Tim Leary. Later, I mean, he'd become somebody I really wouldn't want to meet anyway. but Ram Dass is really, really a nice guy.
I
Yeah.
imagine he is. Yeah. I
he
love the
tried
quotes
to-
you get from him. I mean, there's some
Yeah.
nice things on the jukebox there.
Yeah,
Yeah, were those
Really great.
recordings that you had plucked from elsewhere, or did he record
Yeah,
those
yeah, they
for
were.
you?
They no. What happened was it was
To
trying
talk,
to
I
think.
thought.
I don't. Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, lectures or something.
Yeah.
I
people
don't
laughing in the
remember
background.
where the connection happened, but either somebody here knew him, knew Ram Dass or something. Anyway, and so we knew somebody that sold Ram Dass recordings that, you know, with Ram Dass permission and everything. And back then it was reel to reels.
Oh, sure.
And he would make copies of. He had
Cool.
all these tape machines stacked on top of each
Oh, that's
other.
my dream.
And he would be sitting and meditating all these things. And anyway, they were so he gave us copies, you know, as a group, and
Nice.
And we would listen. It was great stuff.
Sure.
And so I plucked out a few, and I said, "Oh, this is great." And so I wrote him. Somebody who he was not in the U.S. at that point. He was, I don't know, like in London or somewhere, and wrote him. I still have, it's still upstairs. And asked him, you know, if I could use the recordings, and which, you know, for the Fourth Tower. And,
Sure.
And and essentially we wrote a nice letter, but it said no.
Oh.
You know.
Oh.
And now I had already planned, and I thought, come on.
You just ignored it. You just ignored it and went with it anyway. Awesome.
Some of these Judge Flanders episodes, they're doing, you know, but
you did ask.
That's at the end of person, you know. And sometimes they sort of comment on what had happened. So and normally I would never do that, but this time I thought it's okay. So he heard about that, but you know, it wasn't until he was up here and we were recording next door, Bobby, and at some point I'm standing right, actually closer because we're both at the mixing board than from here, and he looks at me and he said, "Did you use my voice?"
I'm sorry. What? I'm sorry.
And that's, yeah.
Did you use my
And-
voice?
How'd you use my
Yeah,
voice?
And he's looking at me like this. and I'm thinking, I can't lie.
Can't lie around us.
And also, he doesn't want to hear a bunch of excuses. And so I said, yes. And that's what he did. He nodded, and that was it.
Oh, cool.
You just
Okay.
learned to say
And
Krishna's
just be
name with
honest.
love.
Just
Your
be
ego
honest.
pats you on the back and says, "Good job." One of my favorites
And
right
that was
there.
it. And he was always friendly after that.
That's good.
cool.
I
Yeah.
like all the little tropes, like the Wurlitzer of wisdom, the jukebox, you know,
Oh.
to me, and you
And the
must listen to
'50s
a lot of-
music.
You must have, yeah, the '50s music.
That beautiful
Doo-wop.
era of
Yeah.
the funny music, you know, just with such a sense of humor.
Yeah,
It just
the,
fit perfectly, man.
The thing was, the music, until I met Tim Clark, which is not later, until mid-70s or later 70s.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's a question of how much music can we legally use.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we got a hold of, I can't remember what they're called. It's a licensing thing in New York. But even then, it was hard to get an answer because they only dealt with commercial and we were dealing with non-commercial. And that didn't exist then.
Yeah, nonprofit, right?
Best we could tell was maybe 25 seconds or maybe 15 seconds.
That's good. So sample.
Oh,
fair
yeah,
use.
yeah, right.
So,
And that's all you needed
Yeah.
to lead it in. You know.
unless,
cool.
unless like
What a
Fourth
great
Tower,
inspired work
where,
you've done.
I wanted to use parts of what the heck is it called? Anyway, from an album or from an album from a movie, and the not the Sheik of Araby, but something. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
meaning
Oh, Duke of Earl?
you know,
Duke of
meaning
Earl,
that, you know, like now I
many of
think
them.
it's about 5 seconds or so. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
very small. You know,
Yeah.
they consider to be like okay. But in that case, but then you know, in the Fourth Tower, there's Angel Baby,
Yeah.
and now that plays the whole thing pretty much.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's 2 minutes and 30
meaning,
seconds
yeah.
or whatever it is.
And,
Yeah.
and since then, I kept using it, thinking I'm gonna get caught one day, you know. But you know, but we're selling it.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
And you know, it didn't happen. But yeah, I the '50s music just is doo-wop music and so on is wonderfully absurd.
Yeah,
You know.
I agree.
It is. It's
like
got a
great
it's
stuff, but
wonderful.
The absurdity
Oh, yeah.
of it.
And it kind of fits in with the whole, they're trying to mess with Jack
Exactly.
Flanders' head and all that.
And I, you know, because legally we never knew what you could do. I mean, you know, and if we really pursued it. Oh, I wanted to say something about what happened with Augie Bloom, the PR man from Jefferson Airplane. Was he came out here, and, you know, and he was able to put everything together, as I was saying. But then he was very supportive, and he wanted to do another Flanders, you know, and he went to RCA, and they said no.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the music samples?
Huh?
Because of the music, or
No, they just didn't.
They weren't into it.
There were some commercial, you know, when I say commercial, college stations. Now, this is before public radio.
Right.
I mean, even though I
That was
worked
in the
at what
70s.
would have been called a public radio station in Philadelphia, you know, before, but in this case, they were really college stations. There, you know, a lot of these stations are still affiliated with colleges, but they're big public stations.
Sure.
And well, anyway, he did a great job.